You're listening to BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good afternoon, it's The Bigger Picture and it's Mira Siva. So the Viva Palestina Malaysia, or VPM, is a coalition of Malaysian NGOs which cut across racial, religious and political lines in their effort to seek a prompt and sustainable resolution of the conflict in Palestine. Among their many initiatives is the inaugural Kuala Lumpur Palestine Film Festival, set to start tomorrow, which will showcase many of the humanitarian issues besetting Palestine. Yuzaidi Yusoff, the head of Viva Palestina Malaysia's media team, is here to fill me in on the coalition's work and also the films I can look forward to catching at the festival. Yuzaidi, how did Viva Palestina Malaysia come to be formed in the first place?
Well, it happened in December 2008 during the attack from the Israel's defense force on Gaza. It took a lot of us, especially the Malaysians here, the atrocities that have been happening on Gaza. A few group of us, close friends, who actually get together and discuss and talk how can we actually do more than just giving money because we are here and they're over there. So we actually talked to a few friends, and one thing led to another. Next thing we know, we had about 50 NGOs together with us. And these NGOs, mind you, are not actually just the religion NGOs. It cuts across different faiths. You have people from organizations from the churches and from the different political backgrounds, and that came out to be, and say we came out called the Complete, which is the coalition of Malaysian NGOs against the persecution of Palestinians, which later renamed to Viva Palestina Malaysia in 2009, when Mr. George Galloway came over to Malaysia, and we discussed and we talked, and we all decided that we think that for us to actually be more aggressive and strong in carrying the message, it has to be a concerted effort across the globe.
Right. And what is your motivation, at the end of the day?
To us, it's like it's purely humanitarian issue. We just can't sit back and look at how things are being done. We look at all those 4 countries, the Quartet, the Americans, the Russians, UK, China. They're not doing enough. They cannot. They've been, and these are the strong countries. So us, they being civil societies, and our chairman likes to use Masyarakat Madani in Malay, which means the civil societies. We are the ones who need to make a difference. We have to do something about this, and we have to. And it cannot be in a sporadic, in a small effort. It has to be concerted effort. So that's why we have Viva Palestina Malaysia. We have Viva Palestina in UK, Arab, in Indonesia, and US as well. So we are also doing this in togetherness.
Okay, so what are some of your previous projects here in Malaysia?
We had a few. One, we actually had a fundraising, where we actually had the show of Iron Wall. It's a movie screening of Iron Wall. We had that in DBKL, where we actually show how the apartheid wall has actually disrupted the living in Palestine, in Palestinian environment. And then we also had the launching of the Viva Palestina Malaysia. That's another project that we did. And we also had quite a number of a few smaller ones. We had a charity bazaar was held in Bandara, in Bangsa Shopping Centre. It was very successful. And we also had another one in Bukit Bandaraya, and then and a lot smaller ones where we actually just create awareness by having selling paraphernalia, handing out pamphlets at pasar tanis and things like that. So it's more to create the awareness, that we, it has to be done.
Sure. How much money have you collected so far?
We have disbursed more than R1 million for various projects, and one of them being the what you call a microfinancing project. This is where we actually help small business to start up. It's related to BFM as well. Small startup companies, for them to actually start the company. $1,000 for them to start. If they are doing well and they want to pump it back to the microfinancing fund, please do. That's one. The other one, we also had a project for the women, whereby the husbands or the fathers have been killed, martyred. So they have, and to me, this is one of the projects that I personally feel very proud of, because they presented to us a project paper, how they want to develop themselves, and they're looking at how they can export some of their work that they have done.
Okay, so who manages all these funds in Palestine?
We do have our affiliations. Mind you, we have VPM members who have been to Gaza, so we have met all of these people, all these NGOs, and we also work together closely with someone that we can trust, who actually represent us over in Gaza. They provide us with a good feedback, good reports on a quarterly basis, half-yearly basis on what's happening over there.
You sound very passionate about what you do, Yuzaidi. What keeps you going? I mean, mentally, spiritually, financially, how do you keep yourselves going?
Well, financially, it's not easy. It's not easy for us to actually ask money. It is not meant for the Malaysian. It's meant for the Palestinians. So, but we try, and there are good people out there who actually supports us tremendously. As far as the members with the VPM, all of us are actually full-time workers. We have our day job, so we are just NGO, and so we spend on weekends or at nights to actually do this. As far as mentally is concerned, and this is a good example that people were to watch the movies. If you watch the movies, you can actually realize that no matter how big your problems, issues are here in Malaysia, if you look at what's happening out there in Palestine, you feel like it is nothing. You look at women. There's one movie, I'll tell you more about later on the movie. There's one boy whose house was being ransacked and taken over by the settlers. And his motivation is, when I grow up, I want to be a lawyer. And people ask him why. Because I want to go to the criminal court justice and get my house back from them. I mean, that kind of motivation. Now, and I was like, these are the people who actually been, the father being killed, house ransacked and chased out from their own country, and they have that. So it gives me the drive. If they can do it, I'm sure we can do a lot more than that.
And these are true stories?
Yes, they're truly true stories. Spiritually wise, being a Muslim, it is my responsibility as a Muslim. We have, you should know, there are 3 big mosques in Islam, which is the one in Mecca, Medina, and the third one is in Al-Aqsa in Palestine. So I personally want to go to Al-Aqsa. That's where a lot of our prophets are from there. Abraham, I'm sure you know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the other thing that I like is the group that we have in Viva Palestina Malaysia. We have different backgrounds, professionals, housewives, businessmen, but when it comes to the cause, we all think and work on the same direction and same line.
You've been to Gaza?
No, I have not. I would like to, but I have not been given the opportunities. But our chairman has, and our late chairman also have been there.
Right. Who's the chairman at the moment?
Currently is Dr. Musa. He is a pediatrician at the Damansara Specialist Hospital. He is very passionate. If you think I'm passionate, you should speak to him. In fact, he's currently appearing in a kind of number of shows to publicize the event.
Okay. Yeah. The inaugural Kuala Lumpur Palestine Film Festival will be launched tomorrow.
Yes.
And Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad will launch it. I understand you also have special guests like former British MP George Galloway attending.
Yes.
George Galloway has played a part in Viva Palestine initiative. Could you tell us more about that?
Okay. Before I go to George Galloway, I just like to stress here the how supportive Tun Mahathir has been. He has been with us ever since we started in 2009, and he has been physically attended most of our major events. So we cannot thank him enough for being supportive of this cause of ours. George Galloway, when he came over to Malaysia and he talked to us about complete movie to VPM, he's the one who actually was the initiator in starting the land convoy from UK all the way to Gaza. He was the one that actually suggested to us, why don't you actually set up Viva Palestina Malaysia? And he is very supportive and is very vocal about this. In fact, God willing, we will be having another land convoy called Viva Palestina 6. Hopefully we'll reach there in May 2012.
Okay. Yeah. And your objective?
Our objective is, again, whatever funds that we're going to collect. We are targeting a similar amount, which is $1 million for this year, to actually continue and introduce more projects in Gaza. One of them being the education. We feel that, again, like I mentioned just now, the students, the children over there, is amazing on how they look at education. They see this as a very premium. I'm not sure a lot of people know this, but for a 1.5 million population in Gaza, 500 plus minus of them are either medical doctors or PhD holders.
Wow. 1.5 million.
Yes, for 1.5 million. So and
that's 1/3.
Yes, it's 1/3. So it shows that they know that the only way for them is to actually be educated and able to actually attract and speak at the right language where people will understand to help rebuild their own country. Okay, and that's what baffles me.
Okay, and the movies. Let's get back to the movies that are going to be screened.
Yeah.
What's the name of the movie? That title of the movie that you were talking about just now?
Okay. The one that I was mentioned just now was a story. Is from a documentary called The Homefront. Homefront documentary is about four sections and 4 different clips of the documentary. One of them is what I mentioned just about this student, about this child, his teenager whose house has been taken over by the settlers. That's one. The other movie that I feel also is that we're gonna screen during the launch premiere tomorrow is called Tears of Gaza. Tears of Gaza, and the interesting part, all the movies that we have chosen that we're gonna screen for this festival are directors not from Palestine. They are European directors, like for example, Tears Gaza is a Norwegian. You have French directors, you got Italian directors, American directors. It's amazing and it goes to show that the other people around the world actually have the same ideas we do.
They feel the same way.
They feel the same way, and they are doing it the way they know best. They direct movies, and then I'll do documentaries on Palestine. So Tears Gaza is one of them. It has won quite a number of awards. And then the other movie is called Inshallah Beijing. And it's a light-hearted, interesting, and I recommended this to my daughter and some of her friends because it's a story about how Palestinians actually had to train without the right facilities for the Beijing Olympics 2008. They have no running shoes. They had to get a permit to go to the swimming pool to swim, and sometimes they have permits, and when they go to the checkpoint, and the Israeli forces said, no, you cannot go in, but I want to train, so you can. Those kind of difficulties they have to go through, and they did manage to go through. And there's one quote for Nadir, one of the athletes, a long distance runner. He said that long distance running takes a lot of patience and perseverance, just like for us here in Palestine. And when you hear what he said there, it just hit you,
It just makes me think how spoiled we are here. Stadiums and facilities. Yes. But not utilized to, its full potential.
Right.
What an
so this is
waste.
something lighthearted. I really fully encourage. And the other movie is called Budrus. Budrus is about about this when the Israelis start to build apartheid walls, right? And they cut across a lot of the small villages in the Palestine area. One of the small villages is called Budrus. So one of the people who are actually living there, the only way for him to think that is he's going to go and just demonstrate. He got a few himself, friends to actually demonstrate, and just and one thing to another. And then his daughter came in, 15-year-old daughter, and said, "Daddy, why is it only the men are going to demonstrate? What about us?" So she gathered her friends, teenagers, and went in front of these bulldozers were about to pull out from the olive trees. And you know how long that an olive tree will have to grow before they actually bear fruit, right? So they just pull it out. So they actually stand in front of the bulldozer and said, "No, you cannot. This is my land. It's my land." So that thing led to another. Even the Israelis who support their cause came over to help them as well.
Right.
And you have people from South Africa also came in. So again, that desire, that passion to actually protect themselves. A very simple movie, but it actually gives you a very strong impact.
Sure. How many movies will be screened?
There'll be 5 movies.
Okay.
And then 2 documentaries.
Sure. And what do you hope the audience will understand or gain from these films?
A few. One is, of course, awareness. For them to actually understand what is going on there. And then 2 is to also make them realize that, hey, this is not a religious matter. It is humanitarian. Humanitarian matter. And other people are actually doing something about it. So they help. And then thirdly is actually to give the incentives. Like I said, people here in Malaysia, like you said, we are spoiled.
We are
spoiled. So you can actually see that, we can do a lot more. Given the facilities that we have, given the luxuries that we have here, we can do a lot more than what they can do. And obviously the last one is to collect the funds so we can actually flow it back to where it should be.
Okay, screenings for the KL Palestine Film Festival starts tomorrow, the 4th of February, and it goes on until Monday, the 6th of February at Golden Screen Cinemas in Pavilion, Kuala Lumpur. Now, admission is free if tickets are collected 2 hours before the screening, but for advance bookings, there is a donation of 10 ringgit per ticket. Do note, today, the 3rd of February, is the last day you can make these advance bookings, so let me tell you how you're going to do that. For more information, do call Mimi at 012 3723135, or you can also make donations or contributions to Pertubuhan Viva Palestina.